Hi, my name is Andrii Matviienko and I'm from Technical University of Darmstadt, Germany. On behalf of my co-authors, I'm going to present to you our work titled Reducing Virtual Reality Sickness for Cyclists in VR Bicycle Simulators. Bicycle simulators are increasingly useful in many application areas, such as health, entertainment, and research. As you can see on the slide, most of these bicycle simulators are placed on stationary platforms and employ virtual reality technology to present a virtual world to users through immersive 3D experience and resulting high sense of presence. However, due to a mismatch between visual feedback provided by simulation and physical movement in space while cycling, users often experience virtual reality sickness, which leads to the decreased cycling performance and even dropouts from experiments. Although we cannot avoid mismatch between visual perception and physical movement in VR simulators, we can influence factors that can reduce VR sickness. These factors include hardware, which determines the quality of VR, VR content, responsible for degree of VR fidelity and sickness, and finally human factors such as age, gender, and prior VR experience. We explore the aspects related to human perception from the second category related to VR fidelity and sickness. In case of VR simulators, these factors are typically influenced by first, rotational movement, steering, that increases mismatch between the visual and vestibular system, and second, the effect of optical flow when moving through space along different axes. In the first experiment, we investigated 3 bicycle steering methods, and in the second one, we explored an airflow and dynamic restriction of view to reduce VR sickness under 3 types of movement through space: cycling on a straight line, with turns, and with slopes. In the first study, we evaluated 3 steering methods based on the head-mounted display, handlebar, and upper body. The HMD method allows steering by turning one's head left and right, the handlebar by turning the handlebar, and upper body by leaning left and right. Therefore, for this experiment, we had the following research question: which steering method is the most suitable for VR bicycle simulators in terms of VR sickness and cycling performance? While the handlebar is the conventional method for many bicycle simulators and leaning of the upper body is the way to steer a bicycle in the real world, we included a promising method based on the previous research for steering in cars using a head rotation. With these methods, we aim not only to explore existing steering methods in bicycle simulators, but also to access level of control with different parts of body, such as hands for handlebar, head for HMD, and upper body for leaning. To investigate the accuracy of the steering methods, we placed coins equidistant from each other along a predefined path and instructed participants to collect as many coins as possible. Every steering method was randomly assigned to a cycling route, and participants' task was to cycle this route following arrow indications presented in the simulation and collected the coins placed on the road along the predefined trajectory. We conducted the experiment in the developed virtual reality bicycle simulator, which consisted of the bicycle placed on a fixed platform with lateral suspension. As for the handlebar steering method, we placed one VR tracker on the front wheel to measure the rotation angle. The HMD steering method was implemented using the orientation of the Vive headset to capture the head's yaw rotation. Finally, the upper body steering was enabled via the tilting of the bicycle platform left and right sides, similar to cycling on a bicycle in the real world. For our study, we measured the following dependent variables. First of all, virtual reality sickness using SSQ and FMS scales, cycling accuracy, we counted the percentage of coins participants collected on the road, usability of steering methods using the SSUS scale, task completion time, number of collisions they experience with the virtual objects, and subjective pleasantness and accuracy. We found that handlebar steering methods leads to the lowest VR sickness and the lowest number of collisions. Moreover, it has the highest usability and steering accuracy compared to HMD and the upper body steering methods. However, in terms of task completion time, HMD method outperformed the handlebar. Therefore, we decided to use the handlebar steering for the follow-up experiment as the method with the lower VR sickness, higher usability and control, accuracy, speed, and the highest rank based on the subjective feedback. A previous work has shown that, for example, airflow and vibration are very commonly used methods to reduce motion sickness. For example, Damour et al. Have shown that continuous airflow at a fixed speed placed in front of participants significantly reduced cyber sickness compared to vibration in the chair. As for the head-mounted vibration, Peng et al. Explored this area to reduce VR sickness while walking in VR using vibration. Moreover, while static, a field of view restriction as shown in the middle, introduced by Fernandez and Feiner, is efficient to reduce the VR sickness, we explored a dynamic field of view restriction which is applied on demand in situations that might cause VR sickness. Therefore, in this paper we explore the methods from the previous work, such as airflow, dynamic field of view restriction, and head-mounted vibrational feedback to reduce VR sickness in bicycle simulators. Airflow creates a wind-like sensation. Field of view dynamically restricts the peripheral vision of cyclists by blacking out the field of view, and vibration conveys a simultaneous sensation on both sides of the head. As for the type of movement, we considered cycling on a straight line movement along one axis, cycling with turns movement along two axes, and cycling with slopes movement along three axes. With this, we aim to investigate VR sickness related to different types of locomotion and investigate which countermeasure is the most suitable. We conducted the experiment in the developed virtual reality simulator as in the first experiment. The only difference in the setup was the stationary platform, which limits tilting left and right movement. As for the measurements, we measured again virtual reality sickness using SSQ, FMS, and MSSQ scales. We measured cycling performance, perceived presence, simulation realism using Likert scale. We found that airflow is the most efficient method to reduce VR sickness based on the subjective feedback, and found that cycling along a higher number of axes induces the higher VR sickness. We also discovered that 3 investigated countermeasures were comparably efficient for reducing VR sickness. In general, VR sickness in bicycle simulators can be addressed by design and external countermeasures. By adjustments through design, we refer to essential components of bicycle simulator, such as steering, turning, cycling platforms, and pedaling. By external measures, we name non-essential additional components, for example, airflow, on-head vibration, reference frames. So to summarize our work, in this paper we investigated methods to reduce VR sickness in bicycle simulators. We conducted 2 control experiments focused on the steering and movement through space. We found that handlebar steering methods leads to the lowest VR sickness and has the highest usability. Moreover, we have shown that VR sickness depends on the type of movement in VR simulation and increases when VR landscape provides turns and slopes. Lastly, airflow suggests to be the most promising methods to reduce VR sickness for all 3 types of trajectories. With this, I would like to end my talk and thank you for your attention.